Good day, welcome to grade 10 Life Sciences, and today's topic is photosynthesis. And this lesson will be presented using IBL and cooperative learning methods. So the first thing we're going to do is introduce the lesson objectives. So by the end of this lesson, learners will be able to explain the process of photosynthesis in simple terms and identify the key ingredients and products of photosynthesis. And number 3, they will understand why photosynthesis is essential to life on Earth. Okay, what is photosynthesis? So first thing you have to remember is that photosynthesis only occurs in leaf cells. So and then the cells contain chloroplasts, which are tiny little objects that contain chlorophyll, and then chlorophyll happens to be the substance that makes the leaf green. So whenever you see a leaf green, just remember that chlorophyll is present and is the one that makes the leaf green. So leaf green, and then the plants will take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and water from the soil through its roots. And then one photon from the light energy hit chlorophyll molecules. The energy from this photon is then converted into chemical energy. Now that the chlorophyll is energized, it will begin the process of converting the carbon dioxide and water into glucose. And then glucose, you have to remember that always glucose is sugar. Yes, and one thing you have to remember during this process of photosynthesis is that there's an exchange between humans and trees. So humans will produce carbon dioxide, which is needed for trees to manufacture their own food, and then the trees will produce oxygen, which is needed for humans to also produce proteins for their bodies. And then we're going to move to the next part, and the next part now is where we're doing these activities. So the activities, as I've mentioned before, is the IPL and cooperative learning. So I'll explain how we're going to do it. At this point is when US learners are going to participate. As I've mentioned, this is IPL and cooperative learning. So we will be doing most of the work, so please be ready. So first thing is I'm going to do with you learners is that I'm going to group you in groups of 4, and in these groups I will balance you so that you are on the same level. And then on me here I have papers which after grouping you come to the front and just pick a paper. So the first paper is number 1. So if you have number 1, just remember that this is your number and this number represents the number you will be discussing. So make sure you remember your number. And then there will be 2 types of groups. So the group here that you're in now is your home group. And in your home groups, the number that I would mention before, this is your number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, represent the topic that you're in. So the first topic, if you can look at the board, the first topic is the effect of carbon dioxide on plants. And then the second topic is the importance of chlorophyll. And the third topic is the importance of photosynthesis. And then the last one is how photons are converted to chemical energy. And then remember, photons is light. So these are your topics. So the number that you have represents the topic that will be doing. As I've mentioned before, you have 2 groups. The group that you're in now is your home group, and now we're moving to the expert group. So I'll explain what you're going to do in your expert group. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to stand up. If you're number 1, please go to the side. If you're number 2, please go to the side. If you're number 3, please go to the side. If you're number 4, please come to the side. And then in those groups that I'm telling you that you must go to, you will research on the topic that represent your numbers, and then I will also provide you with resources. So I'll give you textbooks, and I'll give you permission to use online articles or anything that you find on online. So when you get to your home group, you'll discuss the topic. If you're number 1, discuss number 1. If you're number 2, discuss number 2, number 3, just like that. So that's what will happen in your home groups. And then during that time, you must take notes. During that time, my activities as a teacher, I'll be facilitating the class. So if you have any concern, please raise your hands, and I'll come to your group and explain. If you maybe don't understand something, I'll explain to you. And at the same time, if you feel like you're struggling and you might need me to explain something when not in that group, but when me and you or one-on-one, so please raise your hands, and I'll use the scaffolding method method to help you if you if you do not understand. Yes, and so at the end, in your expert groups, you then have to move to your home group. So the home group is the original group. The first group that I placed you in is your home group. So I'll give you some minutes to move to your home groups. And remember, when you get to your home groups, the first thing you do, you discuss what you have learned. So if you're number one, you discuss, I've learned this in my expert groups. Number two, I've learned this from my expert group, so on like that. And then each one of you will have to present. And at this point, nobody's going to say that I didn't understand, I didn't do this. You have to participate because each one of you has a role to play in the group. At this point, this is the end of the lesson, so I hope you have learned something. And then to end this lesson, each one of you, not each one of you, as a group, you have to submit the research where it will include number 1, 2, 3, and 4 topics. And then I'll also give you this checklist, which is the peer assessment checklist. So on this checklist, you just tick on how your group has worked and what as a group you could have improved on, and then you just tick. For example, number 1 says my partner has a good presentation. If that's true, just tick just like that, and then this is the end of the lesson. Thank you.